Hi everyone. Today we have a very special topic and it is the healing power of creativity. It will be very interesting to talk about how art can heal, and about this we will talk with a very amazing artist, Shivani Agarwal. I hope I pronounced the surname right. Uh, she creates art, getting a lot of inspiration in meditation and yoga. Also, she has experience in technology, and she also hosts workshops and create really art, really very mindful art that can bring a lot of um, healing, I suppose. And it's really interesting to know, to talk with her experience and journey through this. And if you have any questions on this topic or just want to know more about how art, yoga, meditation, and all these things can be connected, stay with us and feel free to drop any questions in the comments. Also, if you want to get all the highlights of this interview, you are very welcome to subscribe to the newsletter, and then you will get everything in your inbox. And Shivani, if you're here, please send me a request.
It's okay.
No?
I think, should we do it once again? Like, should we just start the whole thing once
Uh,
again?
if everybody can hear and see both of us, thank you very much for your support in the comments, Shivani. Everyone can see and hear
Fine. Then
both
let's
of us.
just do it
Is
like
it
this.
is
That's
it
fine.
is it okay? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
yeah,
I'm happy we managed it, and finally we hear each
yeah,
other. Almost
yeah.
see. Uh, okay,
At least we
so
can hear each other.
yeah, how are you? How is your mood
I'm,
today to
I'm
talk about
good, thank
art?
you. And how are you?
I'm excited and really, I can't wait to to start.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
A little bit of
okay.
glitches happened in the beginning, but now it should be good.
hmm Can you please first of all tell us a little bit yourself, your artistic journey? I know that you have experience in tech and you were living out of India, right? Now you
Yes.
moved back, or a little bit more of your background, how you connected with art, when was this shift, and why from definitely another profession
Right.
connected with technology to art. It's really
Yeah.
interesting to know.
So yeah, I mean, my early life was more, I never questioned why I'm doing anything. So like I went into, at that time it was mainly you either become a doctor or you get into IT. That's how most Indian families were. And technology was an area which was booming at that time. There were good jobs. And so I went to Waterloo in Canada, and that's where I did my computer science and math degree. And soon after, I took up a job. So actually, after 2 years of doing the job, when I got laid off, and that was the time when the question started coming about why I'm actually doing what I do, and who like who am I on a deeper level? What is it I want? These questions had never actually arisen in me earlier. And that was kind of the starting point of seeking, of looking inwards. And that brought me to India because I started looking at experimenting with different types of work. I thought I'll come for about 3 to 4 months and be here with one organization. So that's how I landed up in India. And that time was working in a variety of fields. I was working in education. I was working on storytelling because I also am a writer. So, but as I was teaching, I started realizing that art had a significant role. Like even children would I would make picture stories. I would, write stories. They would enjoy that. So that's how I slowly started realizing that if I am not open enough, how can I, teach or connect to people? And that was the beginning point of when I started looking at art. And of course, after coming back to India, I also found, my spiritual journey started. So that was another, turning point, which actually took me more deeper in myself, and that's how art came to me.
Can you please share a little bit more about this journey and art, how art helped you to open and to get more connected with yourself?
Yeah. So basically, when I came back to India, like I had not planned it, but happened to go to a spiritual organization in South India. My father had done yoga, so I went and I attended a yoga and meditation program, and that touched me in a way where I started realizing that there is much more to life than what we just see and experience, with our five senses. So I wanted to go deeper, and I think intuitively, whatever was coming to me, I was catching on to it. Like at that time, I went through various, again, as I said, art didn't come immediately. It took me 3-4 years to find painting, to find art. I started with movement, dance, storytelling. And while I was dancing, I started painting. So initial artwork of mine was more just throwing colors on paper, completely a process of um, just letting my emotions loose. And I realized that I had blocked myself so much that I couldn't even connect to myself when I used to, like, put paint on the paper. I didn't have connection with my own feelings. So that was how my process of art started. There was no structure to it. There was for I think almost 1 or 2 years, I used to just paint from my own intuition and gut. But then a desire started coming into me to actually give more form to my artwork, and that's when I started searching for a mentor or a teacher, and found my mentor, art mentor, basically, who guided me, to take this forward. And it was very much a part of my spiritual journey because the kind of art I was doing was all coming from within. I, you know, even my art mentor always used to tell me that don't look, like I would always try to open Pinterest or various other platforms, try to look for something to make, and she would just tell me, you draw from your inner self. That's how the real art is going to come out. So it kind of became intertwined with my spiritual journey.
Uh, can you please give some examples? You said that you connected movement, dance with art, with paint. How does it look like?
Right. So actually, I used to paint when I was a child, but as I told you, like all these mediums came back to me after I got initiated into yoga and meditation. So once I started my yoga, my meditation, it came back to me in a very different way. So I was actually connected to myself much more. So that was the time when I started doing movement. Creative dance was the kind of movement I did. It's called Uday Shankar style of creative dance. This I had learned even as a child for 4 or 5 years. Like when I was about 14 years old, for 4 years I had learned this. Um, and when I came back at that point, I restarted this dance form. And in that, there are a lot of improvisations. So in many places, they ask you to take certain props and actually emote and come out with your movement. So that was the first time I let myself loose and actually started connecting to my emotions, my feelings. Like I didn't even know that it's possible to just let yourself loose and connect. And this then trickled over later on into my art also, because when I would paint, I had that connection. Otherwise, what happens with a lot of us is with our education, with how, our intellect develops, we lose a lot of contact with our intuition and our feelings, our emotions. And so when that disconnect happens, that's when we feel depressed, or we feel, that vigor goes away. So this this trickled down into my painting, into my art, that now I could connect to myself much more.
Mhm. I'm very curious about that classes that you mentioned that when you were a child, you attended creative movement, creative dance. The
Yeah.
country where I was raised, there were just dance, music, drawing, just a in a very classic way. This is why I'm curious. What do you mean? And is it common these classes in India, or
Uh,
it was something special that your parents found?
So no, at the time it was not very common. Mostly there are certain classical dance forms even in India, but this was a dance form that at that time was starting to become more popular. There was a person called Uday Shankar. He had started this style of dance. He's quite known in India. He had started this style of dance where it was about improvising your own movements. So you did learn certain basic forms of dance like Bharatnatyam. These are very classical Indian dance forms. So you learn some parts of it so that you have some idea of steps. It's like creating your own vocabulary, right? So like once you create a vocabulary, then you join it together to create movements. So this was kind of what I had even learned when I was young. They give you certain types of music. You also learn how to create your own rhythms, your beats. So it's a very interesting form of dance. But when I went to university, I'd gone out of India, so I was out of that dance form for about 5 years. So when I came back, I again got reintroduced to it, but this time it was completely different. Like the way I was experiencing it was coming from inside me. I could really feel like when they gave us props, when they gave us dance movements, steps, I actually felt myself doing those movements, felt what I was, emoting with my with being connected to myself. Otherwise, it used to be like a very technical thing. They used to tell me what to do, I'll do it. So that was the difference when I came back. And yes, this dance form is not very common, but now even here, I don't know if it's like that there, but a lot of people have started using movement also as a form of healing. So, improvisation, creative movement has become something a lot of people are using along with other art forms for as basically therapeutically.
Yeah, I know about that, and I'm really very into it. But it's for me, it's still hard to find information about this because it's not so popular. And when you mentioned that you were a child when you
Yeah,
when you attended these classes, I was really surprised.
yeah.
Uh, can you
It
tell us?
started at that time.
Mhm.
Yes.
Can you tell us about your workshops? Am I right that you combine this movement and art, painting or something like this together on the workshops, online workshops, right?
Yes.
How does it look like? Do you take a big, I don't know, canvas, stand, move? I really need to visualize it.
So, actually, Paulina, this when I was developing my workshops at that time, usually when I develop workshops, I kind of go through a journey of my own. Like, what is it that is actually, what is it that I would want to do or, learn, or how would I open up? So for me, as I told you, movement was a very big part of opening myself up creatively. So that's why I started looking at a lot of intuitive movement. I myself started doing various intuitive, like there were online classes and all. I started doing those to develop a kind of style where when I start my classes, I mean, this is not always, but for certain types of work that I'm doing with people, I want them to open up in a certain way where they're in a more of a sense of abandon. Because what happens is people are coming with a certain stiffness, a certain rigidity of what's right, what's wrong. So the moment they open up physically, so whether you do certain steps to open them up physically or you ground them, you connect them to to the earth, um, it helps people kind of get back into their body. So again, it comes into, just being present in the moment. And I see when people actually create from that state, their much more in tune with their own emotions, their own feelings. And so after that, I many times will make them do activities, for example, where they're just using music, the same kind of music that we did with movement. Now they're doing it on paper. So right now I haven't done any big canvas, but basically they take paper and then they kind of move with the music with their hands. And then they come out with different types of, so many people are not even used to doing something like that. They feel like they're scribbling. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just let yourself flow, use colors. So at the end of it, a lot of people will speak about how, they never thought they could do something like that, where they just let themselves loose because there's so much of a sense of perfectionism being tight in the body.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're talking about. And I also like these practices when you're just turning on the music and relax and drawing the music. It's really very, gives you a lot of freedom and release.
Yes.
Did you maybe also notice some common blocks that your students have, this stiff, so that they can't feel more relaxed? Maybe something else that you need more often?
Sorry, I didn't get you. What did I notice?
No. Yeah, what are the most common blocks when you see when your students come to you?
So I think a lot of people, like, because I'm working with people who are non-artists. That's my main audience group. So a lot of people, are coming from a space where they want to create, but either they don't know where to start, or they kind of are blocked in a way where they feel they're not very creative and they don't know what to do. So their blocks are around like, just not knowing where to start, feeling like they don't have it in them to be creative, not being in tune with their own feelings, so totally disconnected from their own art. So a lot of them would be good with, like, if you give them a picture or an image, they can actually, in some form, not replicate it, but they would be able to make the same image. But if you leave them on their own, where they have to come up with something of their own, then a lot of them will kind of shy away from it or ask, what should we do? So basically, there isn't that sense of connecting what I am feeling or going through with my artwork. I think that's one of the biggest blocks I find.
Yeah. How do you think how your experience in IT, in tech, influenced you, or maybe it's also helped somehow to do what you're doing now in workshops and art?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's helped me in a very big way, because even though right now, people who know me from, like, 15 years, 20 years back, they would be like, I mean, the people who know me now can't believe that I've been into math and computer science, but actually that period of my life developed a lot of critical thinking, a lot of logical thinking, and I was in a co-op degree, so we had to work and study. We had to do interviews. So it built me in a certain way where today when I'm working, like, I would say, like, the intuitive and feeling part of the art is one side, but to bring it out into the world in a certain way, to think about what kind of, to first of all keep the quality in a certain way, then also to look at the business side, the marketing aspect. These things I feel were developed through my skills in technology, computer science, because the critical thinking part became strong. So even with my work, like, even if you see my doodles or my illustrations, a lot of them do have aspects of them which are coming from a lot of analytical and logical thinking. So I feel it's influenced my work, and of course my coming out with my art, because even when it comes to technology, like, I'm able to pick up a lot of things and do it which other people struggle with, like whether it's a website or whether it's working with certain softwares, or so those things I can pick up it's even for me, like, it's new, but there's some basic understanding which is already there.
Yeah, it sounds that it was really helpful
Yeah.
to learn on these things. What are your favorite rituals or practices to stay inspired, connected with art?
Um, I think for me, time to time, like I need to take a kind of a mental break, a space from art, because art sometimes consumes you in a certain way where you're into an activity, you're into something, physically also involved. So I love to, like, whether it's a walk in nature or just sitting still with my meditative practice. Um, Also to just, open myself up. As I said, whether you're scribbling or whether you're doing something which you're never going to show anybody, but it's completely for yourself. I think, like, I love to keep a journal, an art journal, which I don't even ever show anyone. It's just my own. Like, I can, because I don't want to keep that kind of stress that, like, if someone sees it, what will they think? Because then it'll just lose the value of why I do it. So those kind of rituals and practices keep my art fresh. That's what I feel.
Mhm. What are some challenges that you have faced when you made this transition from IT to art, when art became your full-time career, and how did you overcome these challenges?
So, I think one of the big challenges for me was that, with technology, with being in IT, there is a certain ambition which drives you. There is a lot of a go-getter kind of a spirit which is inculcated in you from the beginning. So even when you're in university, like, you have to get that job interview, you have to get the job. There are like 10 people, against you for the same job. So there's a lot of that go-getter kind of spirit which is inculcated. So coming into art, one challenge for me was to drop that. I mean, I can't say I'm still fully over that, but it's been a very long journey uh, to come to a space. That's why I say it's part of my spiritual journey, because it has made me slow down and look at life in a very different way. It's not always like people sometimes think that, oh, you're doing art, that's so lovely. Like, it's like you don't face those challenges that other people face, and you're quite okay just doing what you do. It's not true. Um, One does go through a lot of self reflection, a lot of looking at oneself, looking at one's work, and coming to a space where you kind of say that, okay, I I know that I won't be in the race anymore, but that's okay because what I'm doing is fulfilling me in a certain way. So one challenge, I think one of my biggest challenges was to let go of that very go-getter kind of side of me, and kind of embrace this softer, slower life. Um, yeah, this I would say was one big challenge.
Mhm. Do you mostly host the workshops, or are there any other type of uh, ways you uh, creating art? I mean, I know, I understand that you draw for yourself, but if you talk about career as an artist, what are your sources of income, or what do you invest your time into?
So for me, I also have certain types of services I provide people. Like, I do wedding cards. I take on social media projects of people. So if they're doing certain campaigns, I design their posts. I also do content writing as a side kind of work. So that also I take on sometimes. And for me, like, my workshops at this point are something that I'm trying to develop more, probably in the future, pre-recorded, etc., kind of workshops. And then there is, of course, bigger artworks. I think those are supportive in a certain way. People that give me commissioned works, and you make bigger artworks. Those are things that also kind of sustain it as a business.
Mhm. What role does social media play in your art business, in your career?
So social media has actually been very helpful for me. I started posting on social media many years back, but it was a very different style of work. I've had a very interesting relationship with social media because initially I used to like kind of make my work. I used to have an idea of what kind of work people would like. I used to do a very different type of work, which was more watercolor paintings. Um, and this side of my work, which was very playful and very childlike, I almost kind of kept it not hidden, but I kept it a little bit away, thinking that, a more serious tone of work would work better. So for many years, I used to post very different type of work. It was only around COVID that I started using social media in a completely different way, which I dropped my ideas of what'll work and what won't work, and I started posting things that I felt connected to me, and so I felt maybe people would enjoy it. And I found that the more that I kind of use social media in a way where I am enjoying sharing certain artwork or certain aspects of my art with people, it works best for me. It's also been a great medium to meet. I mean, I met you also through social media, so just meeting artists from all over the world. I also now design T-shirts with one company in India. So that also I met through social media. Like social media has given me a lot of exposure. A lot of people know my work, in different parts. Like I'll go somewhere and they'll say, "Oh, I know what you're doing." So you get a lot of exposure. I mean, there's a lot of negative sides of social media people talk about, but I feel it's also a very positive medium. It really helps you as an artist to reach out and connect because otherwise you don't have many ways otherwise except for exhibitions or taking your work out to some fair. You don't have many ways to connect to people.
Mhm. Have you ever struggled with sharing not only your art, but a picture of yourself and all these videos on social media? And if yes, please tell us how did you overcome? Maybe if you have had some fears or self-doubts in that.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I mean, even till now, that's an ongoing process. So it's about how much do you want to share and how much do you want to expose of yourself. Sometimes you look at various videos or reels or YouTubes and you say, wow, this person is like, showing their house, they're showing every aspect of their life. So you kind of get into this mindset, okay, maybe I should start doing, something like that. But I think at this point, I came, like, I've gone through that journey of doing various things, going through the conflicts of exposing. And I've come to the realization that, everybody's different. Some people are okay with it. For me, like, um, I think I would personally like to keep it more connected to my art. So I do show my studio, I do show certain parts of my life, but even if there are less people, it's okay. You have to make that compromise somewhere that how much of because, I realized if I'm talking about art as a medium for healing, and then I am creating stress for myself, then I'm kind of, not in line with what I'm doing. So I have started seeing then how much do I want to actually expose. I've kept parts of my studio or parts of my space which I open up, and other parts, yeah, I prefer not to, like photos or videos. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone who is looking to explore art for healing or self-reflection? some easy first steps that they can take to start this journey?
Yeah. Um, I think one of the biggest things would be like to just start and keep a journal or keep like if you like to paint on paper, like just keep some kind of a medium and some kind of medium, I mean like a paper or a journal which you would regularly work with. And in a way, don't show it to anybody for a certain period of time. Like do it for yourself. So keep a certain amount of time, even if it's half an hour a day. You come back from work. Just keep a small amount of time, which people do journal writing. You can also do art as journaling. Like mix up whatever mediums, whatever writing, dance, everything together. Or sorry, writing, art together, and just let yourself play. I think the main thing is to play, to experiment, to keep looking at inspirations. You can find inspirations in your life, what you're going through, something you've learned. Um, Maybe you've gone outside, you saw something, photographs, or something you found on the net, whatever it may be. Like keep inspirations and keep a repository of these inspirations with you, and don't copy exactly, but use them as inspirations to find what you're going through, and then um, create art out of that and do it regularly. So I think that slowly creates a style, and you start understanding what is it that you like to make. Like somebody may like to make comics, or somebody may like to make abstract art. Somebody may like to use crayons. Someone may like to make a canvas. But that's what you will. That's what will come to you as you work. If you just stay in your mind and think, okay, I want to do it, but you don't actually do it, it won't manifest, and you won't be able to see and feel what is it you like to do with your art.
Mhm. Mhm. You said that most of people who are on your workshops are not artists, and they want to connect with art and get some relief during
Yeah.
this creative process. Um, is there, did you notice that maybe for sometimes it's hard for them just when you turn on the music and ask them to scribble, that they are just don't know what to do? And because when I have some practices with students who are into art, yes, they might have a picture that, okay, what exactly I have to do.
Mhm.
But when you explain, just relax and listen to music, they start to draw
Mm.
um, without any problem, because these materials are very natural to them and so on. But it's my
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
that maybe people who do not do any art in their daily life uh,
Mm.
may feel just lost in this. Okay,
Right.
what do you mean by drawing the music?
Yeah. So that's why, like, when I do these workshops, I keep a little bit of structure, and I keep it unstructured both. Like, because yeah, what you're saying is true. Like, if I just tell them, if I just put on music and I tell them to start scribbling, so it's like, what do you want me to do? But that's why there's like I create that process where first we just move, we just open up our neck, we open up our body, then we sway, do certain like basically you bringing them into a state where their body itself becomes more responsive. And then when I turn on music, like I kind of show them my own flow, and I give them various options, like, even like you can just make dots, or you can just make lines. Like, so I give them a little bit of structure, so that people who are, totally not kind of understanding, like they're not feeling the music, or they're not being able to process what to do, they have something that they can at least do along with it. So that much structure I do keep.
Mhm. Um, I think my last question is,
Yeah.
looking back, what would you tell to your younger self when you just started this journey, and maybe any advice or supportive words that you would tell to yourself that time?
So, I think I would tell myself to, just listen to my gut, to my heart, and follow that advice, like whatever my heart is telling me, rather than what people say or what people think. Because, when you start such an unknown journey, or you start doing something which you don't know, what you're getting into, like you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you're questioning yourself, and then if people around you are influencing you, then you can get derailed, or it takes long to reach the point where you are connected to yourself. So I have been through that in some ways. So I feel to just trust yourself, to trust your instincts. What is it like you feel good when you do? That is the gauge or the barometer of what is going to work for you. Like, so I think I would just tell myself to listen to myself more, to
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to my body, to my mind, to my emotions, to my gut, to what is it that is working for me. I would definitely tell myself to listen to myself, not anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Shravani, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you,
all this
Paulina.
with
It's
me.
unfortunate I couldn't see you,
For me,
but
it
it was
was
really nice
it was
connecting.
a pleasure and very interesting to hear about your experience, because recently this connection to body and also some more mindful approach of creating art is something that I integrate into my workshops
Wow.
lately, because I feel a lot of value there, and I
Yeah.
also uh, see that it's not enough to have just some skills, and art
Yeah.
can be more mindful, and there is so much connection to your inner self. And also we can do it through some simple tools like breathe deeply before start drawing,
Yeah.
or just to move a little bit, listen
Yeah.
to music. And this is why it was really very interesting for me, because it's something that I am
Yeah.
working on now in my educational projects, and you definitely have more experience in this, as you started earlier.
That's
So
your
for
work,
me it was good.
Paulina. Like, it's so beautiful. Your patterns are so inspiring to me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
finding
you.
time.
Thank you, Paulina. It was
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah. Have a nice evening.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.